Welcome to Project Quiver, a father-daughter journey across the globe to capture the artistry and spirit of the world's finest traditional bow carvers. I'm Todd, the father. Ella is my daughter. Together we're on a mission to create a stunning coffee table book that profiles more than a dozen master bowyers and their unparalleled skill. For each chapter, we travel to the bowyer's workshop, carve a bow under his guidance, photograph his woodcraft in detail, and share his story here on the Salish Wolf podcast. The book is called Quiver, The Art of Life Through Bowcraft. And this journey, our living story, is Project Quiver. Zdenek, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the invitation. I was looking forward.
It's my pleasure. Where are you?
I'm in Czech Republic.
Okay.
In the central region, the Bohemian part.
Yes.
And here we have birdy forests. I'm not going to disclose my location fully because it's a small town, but it's near Pilsen. Yeah, it's one of the nicest areas to live in if you are a bowyer because we have very big forests, and so it's very wooded here, and you have so many kinds of trees, here. It's amazing.
Beautiful. When my daughter and I traveled for Project Quiver, we spent a few days in Prague. And then we went by train from Prague down to northern Austria, where we were meeting with Eric Strijksbeer Sparrow Bows. And we stopped in a smaller city of České Budějovice.
Yeah, České Budějovice.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we spent an afternoon there, found this really cool, an authentic Chinese tea house. And it was raining outside, so we got really wet walking around seeing things. And we found this tea house, and we went in and just had a great experience with, I think we got a big pot of oolong tea and some chai tea, and it was really cool. And then when we were at Eric's place, he lives literally right on the border. And so one evening that he and his wife took us out for dinner back in Czech Republic. I don't remember the town that we drove to, but beautiful little town that we went to, and it was the best meal of our entire trip in Europe that we had in this little pub. It was just like a charcuterie, delicious bread and cheeses and meats. And it was really incredible experience.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that was in the Šumava region. It's where you get to the borders with Austria, and there are so many towns, and I have many good experiences from there.
Yeah. So you've lived there your whole life?
Yeah, I have lived in Czech Republic my whole life.
And are you alone or among only a few bowyers, or are there a lot of bowyers in the country?
It's hard to say because I have lived secluded for 5 years, and then I have started to meet people. And from my understanding, there is very little community of bowyers, and most of them it's hard for us to find each other. Either we find ourselves in groups Primitive Bowmaking on Facebook, or r/Bowyer from Dan Santana, who made that Reddit forum. But yeah, there is a very little chance where we could meet, and so from my understanding and point of view, there is around 100 bowyers at max, maybe even less.
And how do you pronounce the name of your bow-making brand?
Varenge and Boyar.
Varangian. And
the Varangians were they were the boyars of the Byzantine Empire. They were mercenaries, for the emperor of Byzantine Greek. And yeah, it's I don't know how it came to my mind. I think back then I thought it was a good name. I would like to rebrand soon because I want to associate it more with me and less with some kind of a mercenary class of people, because that kind of makes people think that it's more like bows for LARPing and all of that stuff. Yeah, so
right.
How long have you been doing this?
Back when I was at Matt's Bowyer podcast, I said it was it was 5 years, so it should be like around 7 years this summer. So
Okay.
pretty long time, but I have got a couple pauses in the time span that I have been making bows, and like my first good bow was when I was like 20. So yeah, that was like 5 years ago.
Okay. And is this a your main occupation or is this something you do as a hobby?
I would like to do it as a main occupation, but the market is so small that I have kept it more as like a side job.
Mhm.
I do like courses for schools, so I introduce young kids to school kids to boyery and making bows, and all of that stuff, all the history and shooting bows also. So I would like to say that it's more or less like not a hobby, but it's like a side job that makes me some money at least.
Yeah. How do you connect with the kids? Is that in person or do you do that online?
I do it in person. I
Okay.
do like archery courses with like talking, and yapping about bows, and it would be hard to do it online because like from my understanding, most of the kids are not even interested in the matter, and the hard thing is when I came to one school and like we were having a course where we were making bows and like only like 4 kids out of the 20 kids were interested genuinely. And yeah, that kind of, broke me a
Mm,
little. I was a little upset, but yeah, I had a good time there too. And it was a good money that I made.
yeah. Did the do the kids get a chance to learn how to shoot as well?
Yeah. They often do now. I wasn't inclined to do it at first because uh, I would, have how do you say that? I would, you know, be in charge of the kids and like be responsible for like their acts
Yes.
in kind of a way. So if they broke anything, you know, it would be my bow, it would be my arrows that they are shooting basically, and I would, I would be responsible. So I have, just thought about it for quite some time, and I have come to the conclusion that I only do that in open areas where the kids cannot obviously, break something and like cause harm to anybody.
Mhm.
So yeah, they can shoot now.
Great. How did you get into the art of bow making?
So it was like 2019, the COVID was starting, and I wanted to practice archery. And back then, the bows in Czech Republic have cost like $200. And I didn't have that money, so I knew that there are certain trees growing in the forest, and that I could harvest them. And my first attempts were a failure, but that was because of the wood I chose. It was rotten branches from the forest floor, and that doesn't do good in bows. But
Not so good.
after that, I found out that there was a freshly fallen cherry tree, and that was my first successful bow. And like it was super ugly, but it did shoot, it did draw 20 pounds. Then I found out that there is a ton of elm trees growing on the mountain. That's what started my interest is that we had witch elm on the mountain in my home village. But as you might know, when you came along to many of the European boyars, it's one of the best whitewoods
Mhm.
of them all. And yeah, so I tried to make witch elbow. It failed. But like my third bow, that was a rowan bow out of rowan wood,
Yeah.
the tree with little
Yeah.
orange berries. And that was nice little bow shooting. And it did shoot. and it did shoot quite nicely. And so after that, I made my first successful witch elm bow, and it did draw like 35 pounds, and yeah, it was good. I heat treated it. It served me, and I still have it hanging. It still works, but I don't use it anymore because I have gone to like higher drawing bows, and yeah, from all of like it did get better,
Yeah.
in those 5 years. So I made even more like fast bows, and yeah. But then I started to be exhausted by all of the elm I was getting basically from the mountain that I did cut, and like it started to get boring. I just couldn't imagine many American boyars just use so much osage and hickory, and of course so much Pacific Pacific yew in the Pacific Northwest, but I just couldn't imagine I would be so bored to use only one kind of boat. So I started to experiment with everything that was growing near me. So I started to cut down blackthorns, plums, and yeah, so my interest was very spiked. And so I have made many bows, including this blackthorn longbow that I have behind me on the background photo.
Oh, in the background? Okay.
And
Sorry, what's that made out of?
blackthorn.
Blackthorn. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I have discovered that those lesser known woods make so nice bows, and you know, obviously not many people like know about them. And so I tried experimenting with a couple more. I have found that buckthorn grows near us too, so I did cut it down mistakenly because I thought it was a plum. They have quite a similar bark, so yeah, and leaves too. So I
Mm-hmm.
have discovered only after the cut that it's buckthorn, but yeah, it's
Sorry, are you saying buckthorn or blackthorn?
buckthorn.
With
B-U-C.
B-U-C-K. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I've not, I'm just looking this up. So I'm just trying to find the Latin for it. Okay, it's the species Rhamnaceae. Okay. I'm not really familiar with it.
Yeah, if you know sea buckthorn, like
Yes, I
with
do
the
know
orange
that. Okay.
berries, and it's quite the same
Same thing.
tree basically,
Same thing. Okay, cool.
but it has different wood.
Yep.
It's very flexible and very strong, and also dense, so it makes quite a nice bow. But I still have it, hidden in the corner because I don't know, my kind of hyperactive behavior, in a sense that I produce so many of blank bows. And yeah, so I didn't get to it because I have loads of work, on the bow, because it's like very deflexed. And so yeah, it will be a mess steaming.
Okay. And what other types of strange or unfamiliar woods are you working with?
I did work with, gosh, I forget, hawthorn.
Mm-hmm.
That was a nice bow that I made for one customer. And like many times, hawthorn has like very short fibers, but this was like one of the different hawthorns that I did cut, and it did have like very nice long fibers, and just didn't have any like inclusions from the bugs, because hawthorns do get attacked by many bugs, so they make the holes in it and the pathways across the wood. And the hawthorn is amazing in that it's very hardy, and it grows around those and yeah, it just makes a total mess when you are tailoring a bow and it explodes on the back.
Right. Now, is it hard to find a piece of hawthorn? Because I have a bunch on my farm. I've tried to find a straight enough piece, which maybe I have. I haven't taken it down yet because the thorns are just brutal too.
Yeah, they are nasty.
Yeah, how do you work with that?
So because we
Eh,
have very high roofed forests, we tend to get very nice staves here, but I have encountered some problems with that. It's very snaky,
yeah,
and often the wood, as I said, has so many bug holes and pathways of the bugs, so it's not good. But occasionally I can find a young enough piece that is around like 2 inches in diameter and long enough with not enough, snakiness, so I can work with it, and then it makes a nice bow. But it's a total mess for work, and I do it because I'm crazy.
mm, crazy can be a good thing.
Yeah,
What other strange or unfamiliar trees are you working with?
I did cut a spindle tree. It's very light wood. It was used to make, I don't know what was that, but like it polishes nicely. So I think it was made into beads. Uh, I did work with blackthorn, plum. Plum is nice.
Hmm.
Then I worked with, yeah, I'm trying to find the names of the tree. Like it's a cherry basically, but it's like slightly softer. It is also poisonous. The wood and the bark is poisonous, and
But it's fruit bearing.
yeah, it's fruit bearing, and the fruits are edible, I think. And yeah, I did work with apple, but that's quite common in the fruit trees
Yeah,
because it's like one of the best bowwoods from fruit trees. Also pear. I haven't seen loads of pear wood bows.
yeah. I interviewed someone recently who tried to make one with pear, and he said it didn't. I think it didn't work or it wasn't good. But
Yeah,
have you?
often it fails at the garden, grown woods because they have different properties than the wild grown varieties. And
Okay.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that's quite a problem.
So in the area where you live, is it a small village that you're in?
Yeah, it is a small village.
Okay.
It's very small.
And are there restrictions for you going out and finding staves and cutting trees? How do you harvest them? Do you have places where you go where it's okay to do that, or?
Uh, yeah, what eyes don't see, they don't see. But basically, if you don't have a friend, a forester or something, you obviously don't have a chance cutting down something without stealing it.
Yeah.
So it's quite a problem because there are restrictions, but I did get quite some luck with you, and I found many of like how do you say that? I found people selling you on some forums here in Czech Republic. It's garden you, but it can do.
Hmm.
But often, the equivalent of city services in the village do cut down below power
Right.
lines and
Yes.
everything. So I did harvest quite some blackthorn from that because they just leave it to rot, and the major doesn't care enough, if
Yes.
I just take it. So I called him, and yeah, I did take some staves. I did find some pear wood also. And yeah, so there are many restrictions. We have a protected wildlife area south of me, so you cannot cut anything there, but it's like full of spruce and birches and pine trees, so it isn't useful per se, like in
Yeah.
Bowyer.
Yeah. So it sounds like you got into making bows because you couldn't afford to buy a bow, and I presume you wanted a bow so you could do some archery.
Yeah,
So, what was the reason you wanted to get into archery? What was your inspiration?
I think it was just an interest that just came around from nowhere, you know. So it was like on a whim that I decided, I was interested in axes, in axe making, like of the handles. And so I did know some trees, but not enough. But I was like, I have some tool knowledge, and I can use that. I could make it, and yeah, I did fall on my mouth many times after I started, basically. And I think then it did get me into that point. I wasn't anymore interested in the archery thing, and like I was interested more in making the bows out of
Right.
the wood, you know.
That happens, doesn't it? Yeah, and right now I'm just pondering this, basically what you just described, and that archery just felt like something you needed to do. I'm finishing up writing the book that my daughter and I were traveling to do, and I'm just rewriting an introduction for it. And right now I'm writing about how archery came into my life, and yeah, it was just one of those things. And I think that happens to a lot of us, where I think it's because archery is literally in our DNA from our
Yeah.
ancestors, that I think it's just something that something at a various time awakens that within a few of us. And when it's awakened, it's such a strong feeling. Like I'm writing right now about like the moment that I started thinking about archery, and it became very all consuming. Like I remembered these details a decade ago when I decided I wanted to get a bow, and like it was such a powerful moment, and I had never experienced anything like it before, and I knew nothing about archery, and I had never done archery. I had no influence for archery. There was no reason why it would become something that I wanted to pursue, but like in a moment I remember the day when I was like, oh, I want to get a bow, I want to do archery. And I knew I wanted to get like a primitive bow, although I didn't know that's what it was called at the time. I knew I didn't want some high tech bow. And it's something that, yeah, it stirred within me. It sounds like it did the same within you. And I think that is something, because it's most likely our ancestors have done it. And if not shot bows, they've shaped bows, or they've been around bows. So yeah, I'm just finding that very interesting. And a lot of bowyers that we have interviewed for the book have similar stories too. And it was
I
just
agree.
something that, yeah, it's really powerful.
Yeah, I think it is because, we as a human race, we have been connected to the ground and to earth like for millions of years, from the age we were like paranthropus. And we started to develop basic tools. And so I think like the recent 150 years cannot remove anything from us now. Who knows what will come with the brain chips and all of that stuff, but but
That's very true.
but yeah, I developed quite. I always had it quite the distaste for modern things, and like many of those modern things, like being convenient, and that we are just too comfortable. So I started to go into forest and started to be uncomfortable, and I just like that feeling of the challenge, and I think that's what stuck with me, and like in my journey as a boyar and as a man, of course. So yeah, I'm just trying to essentially make my life harder,
Yeah, well, I do know, and it's a beautiful way to do it. Bring some challenge into the life. Are you basing your bow designs off of any sort of historical bows? Do you have any favorite styles that you're working on?
Yeah, I do. I quite like flat bow of the Holmegard type, but I of course try to just switch it up oftentimes just so I can make it work for the wood, and many times out of my own interest in the science of bow making, so I can get the most out of the bow.
Hmm.
But recently I started to like the design from the book. Wow, it's called. It's from Sexton Pope.
Yeah, is that I was just writing about that too. Something bow and arrow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The bow and arrow. Yeah,
Yeah.
Hunting with bow and arrow.
Yes, hunting the bow and arrow.
Yeah. And he has the perfect hunting bow there. And I have found that it does have some, some problems. It cannot work for every stave, but it works like a charm on
Mm.
most staves, but it makes a nice bow.
Mm-hmm.
I like it, even though it's not historical, it's very recent, but I think it's one of the nicest bow designs out there.
Okay. And then do you put anything on your bows as far as like leather work or horn overlays, arrow pass insets, anything like that?
I try to always, if it's like made to order, I just try to meet the needs of the customer. Mostly I do like horn overlays because I have found that way I can make the tips thinner and like the outer limbs can be way thinner, so it makes a faster bow. I'm not into the snake backing thing because I think so many people now just try to make a luxury bow. And, you know, I personally I like the snakeskin look, but I think it's everywhere. It's not so special anymore. Like, I remember seeing Waylon Olive's bows, and, he's the man for snakeskin backed bows.
Yeah.
They're one of the nicest, but I kind of view it that way that many people have just seen Waylon's bows and they try to copy him and provide the luxury for their customers, and they're in. I kind of think that you can make a nice bow without any of the snakeskin stuff, and it can be just simple elegance, in like a
Mm-hmm.
simple longbow. And yeah, that's why I started to make more longbows recently. But I also did make a very nice Molagabet bow. That was
Mm-hmm.
my first very successful, and it bent through the handle by my mistake because I tried to make, the glued handle because I didn't have just that much wood.
Right.
So I tried to make it stiff handle, but after that it ended at bendy handle bow with cork handle, and
Mm.
so it gains some thickness in the hand, and that it's comfortable to hold.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at your Instagram right now, looking at some of your bows. What sort of horn overlays do you use? Like cow or
I use mouflon.
sorry?
I use mouflon. It's like the big horned wild sheep.
Okay.
um yeah, it's very nice because it has like streaks of like clear and also like white horn, so it's like very nicely colored. And like, yeah, I find it that it's way harder than cow horn, so it provides enough security for like a fast fight, but so does cow horn. But I think it's way nicer.
Mm-hmm. And also, I'm sorry, jumping around because I'm looking at your Instagram. You have a post of your logo. Can you describe what your logo is? I know you said you might rebrand, but I'm curious of the image. It's interesting.
It's like bint bind rune that one friend made for me, and I don't know the meaning. It's obviously just some runes connected together, but
Okay.
so I haven't thought about the meaning of my logo, and
Okay. Fair enough.
it
That's
did just get made on a whim, basically, because my customer and a friend did get a bow from me, and he was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna make you a logo for like this price." And so I was like, "Okay, I agree," because back then it was a falcon with two antlers, and
okay.
it was like a very amateur made logo, so it wasn't nice, and I find this way nicer. So
Right.
yeah, I said yes.
So, is anyone else in your family interested in bow making or archery?
No, 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 no. I don't think so. Only my sister-in-law is like into those natural things,
Hmm.
but I don't have anybody in the family who's interested in, wood making and that stuff.
And do you have a background in? You said you have a background in using tools. Is that like in woodwork or?
Yeah, I did make axe handles, and I was interested into uh like tool renovation. So I renovate many chisels. I often do sales, and like that keeps my family fed. Yeah, that's one of the hobbies that kind of started my interest in woods. It was the tool renovation because I tried to source cheap tools for myself, and it then just turned into, pardon me, into like some sort of small business thing. So that was a nice thing. I still do it. It's one of the ways that keeps me running. Basically, it did ease up the interest into bows quite a bit.
How do people find out about you and your bow work?
I often show up at festivals here in Czech Republic. I haven't gone outside, into other countries like into Germany and of course to the famous festivals in France. But like they often find me on Facebook because I try to propagate my work there and also on Instagram, but mostly from like the Czech people's perspective, they find me on the festivals.
So, what are these festivals like?
But there are basically shows where people sell, knives, and also like it could be like medieval markets often.
Okay.
So yeah, I didn't have a lot of time to get to so many festivals lately, but I did get to a famous knife festival in Příbram, so that was quite nice. But yeah, it helps me quite a bit into reaching out into the public.
Yeah, it seems like those medieval type of festivals are quite commonplace across Europe, and
Yeah,
it's really cool. I don't think North America has too many things like that. I mean, we might have some craft fairs, but I don't think any. I think what you guys have in Europe is it's far more robust and more specific towards this kind of time period of
yeah.
tools and things, and that's really cool.
But I think you in Northern America, you're quite lucky. You have jamborees and all of that stuff
There
connected to
are some archery
greenery.
jamborees, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't
we
been to
don't.
any yet, but next year, my daughter and I plan on traveling to a few of them once our book is released.
Yeah, we don't have that here, sadly.
Yeah,
But it would be nice too because you know the US and Canada is it is way bigger than Europe, and like Europe doesn't have any jamborees
yeah.
or that I know of. So
When we passed through, we were in Slovenia and we went through Lake Bled in
mhm.
Slovenia, and we part of the reason we went there is there's a museum and it said it had an archery collection, and we later found that the archery collection had been removed, but I think it was in February of this past year they had an archery exhibition because they had some sort of big primitive archery event at the castle there. And so there was an archery contest with primitive bows, and one of the bowyers had his bows featured in the museum. So I know that's not the same as the jamborees, but it sounded like a pretty fun event. And
Yeah, it's nice.
yeah, I'm sure there's others like that around. You guys have all the beautiful castles, so a great setting for having the events.
Yeah, I think we have like the modern history of all the countries across Eurasia, and I think you kind of have more of the privilege in like the Northern Americas that you have more free ground and basically public forests, and
Yeah,
that wasn't the thing here like from the time we established kingdoms and also like tribal monarchies and all of that stuff. But yeah, so I think you quite do good on that. Like the US and Canada is quite young states, and you aren't so corrupted by all of those many things we have here. And the castles may be nice, but there are still a lot of people who own the forests, and like we essentially don't have any public grounds here. So
Oh,
that's
wow. Yeah. Wow. So you said you restore tools, so I assume you have a lot of personal tools that you use. What are your favorite tools for bow carving?
I like British made bows, made tools, but I think my own favorite is straight draw knife that was made by Sorby in England, in Sheffield.
Okay.
And then I have a favorite curved draw knife from the First Republic of Czechoslovakia, uh, age to 1920s roughly, and that's one of the nicest tools I have. Then I have so many chisels and many gouges and saws from Sheffield too, like Marples, all of those many famous brands, and like those are my beloved tools. So yeah, they are one of the nicest, I think. I did collect so much stuff, in the past years. I have collected several sewing machines for leather, and also like home sewing machines and lots of that stuff
Where do you find these things?
on eBay
Okay.
mostly.
Yeah. And are you using any modern tools at all, or all the hand tools you're using are refurbished that you found?
I use like oscillation sender,
Hmm.
and like that's nice to have, because when you have a rough spot that you need to get, you know, send it out with 80 grit, it quite helps you to ease the pain of the wrist and of the fingers, so you don't have to send it
Yeah.
for 2 hours. But yeah, I mostly use the modern machines for sharpening. I have a pellet sander, and also like a wet grinder with for sharpening.
Yep. And are you using card scrapers? Are there any what are your go-to tools? Any rasps?
I like my Shinto rasp the
Yeah, I like
most.
a Shinto as well.
For the long bows mainly, I don't like it as much for flat bows, because I find myself digging just through a lot of wood too quickly.
Okay.
Um, then I like card scrapers, as you said. I like the gooseneck, and also just the straight ones, because I
Hmm.
can grind them down and make them just conform to many angles and shapes. And I like files also, because they help me to just file something roughly, so I can ease up the work on sanding later on. And yeah, I do have a assortment of sandpapers also. It's one of the things I have to use for the horn
Yeah.
overlays and all of that stuff. So yeah, that's like most of it, I think. I have also assortment of rasps, chain chainsaw files also for like the grooves.
Yeah.
I,
Now,
I,
is there anything in the art of bow making that you still struggle with or that you're trying to perfect?
I think I struggle with finishes at the moment the most, because I just cannot find the most amazing finish, so that it would last. And I see that uh, shiny bow is a kind of a byproduct you don't want to have in a survival situation. You
Right.
want it to have more of a matte finish. But for the looks and like of what many people like, I would like for my bows to keep as shiny as they can, because mostly it goes to target shooters. And you know to compress the grain so greatly that it will be shiny forever is a hard thing to do, and I struggle with that. And it also protects the bow slightly from any abrasion.
Yeah. Some of the bowyers I worked with used like a very rounded like stone, a very smooth stone to compress the grain and use that on the entire surface of the bow, like rubbing it on it.
Yeah, I have a moose horn antler.
Hmm.
I mean, that kind of works now, but I want to progress to something else because I find it somewhat hard to get around some of the curves and some
Okay.
of those nasty bows with character. And
What type of finish do you normally use?
now I use normally like beeswax and linseed oil paste. But I also like a mix of tung oil with safflower oil.
Mm, okay.
And then shellac is was my go-to, but it is hygroscopic, so it doesn't stop any water going in, and it turns to jello basically.
Right. Have you had any teachers along the way or any books or resources that have been really valuable to you?
I did like, and I still like and value Dan Santana's both videos and his knowledge.
Hmm.
I did read a couple books. One of them was, of course, the Bowyer Bibles, and also the book about bow making by Clay Hayes.
Yep.
That did help me quite a bit. I did read it on one go in 2 hours. So that was like the only time I did read a book in one day, no stop, and it was amazing. I highly recommend that. And yeah, I think I just try to learn as much from my failures. So like the failure rate was my biggest teacher, and also like the discovery in nature. And you when you think when you walk in like a forest and you think about like what did go wrong on the last build, and you just go through your mind, and you just you know both cope with it, but you tend to think it through, and you just can learn from it so much, and from reading the grain, and discovering other species. And I think that's what many people get stuck in, is that they try to have a favorite, and then they just don't have the knowledge of every other species, and it kind of draws them into the ignorance of the other woods properties. And yeah, it's a complicated matter.
Do you have a workshop in your home?
I currently live in apartment complex, so currently no, but I have a workshop at my parents' house. So yeah, that's one thing saving me from like the boredom of living in an apartment. But
And do they live nearby?
yeah,
Okay.
that's quite good. They live nearby. It's just 9 kilometers, so I have it near. So I can anytime I have free time, I just go into forest, or I go into the workshop, and I just make bows or anything else.
And do you hunt at all?
You can hunt legally with bows here. From my perspective, it isn't too good to hunt here because, for the past maybe 100 years, we have overhunted like almost every species that is here. And like also like many of the aggressive bird species get protected, and you tend to have so much less small game also to hunt. So it's like not possible at the moment, sadly.
So how often are you doing archery practice, if at all anymore?
I try to. It's hard to say how much. It tends to be very sporadic, and
Yeah.
so it's like on a whim when I just decide to, get my bow and just shoot. couple arrows through a target and or into the distance. That's what I like the most, the flight archery, and yeah, it's like a couple times a month at most.
What type of bow do you use for flight archery?
I like longbows for flight. I have a perfect hunting bow that I have made recently from you, and it shoots amazingly. It's I think one of the best bows also, and for flight I did like a longbow made out of hornbeam, and it's also one of the interesting species of wood that I don't see often. It's
What type of
very
hornbeam?
fast. It's a European hornbeam. It's
Okay.
like it is basically a relative of birch, but it's
Okay.
hard on the cast, so it shoots nicely into the distance. And I did shoot 180 yards with my bow from
Nice.
hornbeam, so that was quite nice.
And what draw weight is that?
64 pounds at 30.
Okay. All right. Very cool. Well, it's been really nice to get to know you a bit and learn about your craft and how you got into it. Anything that you're currently working on in the near future? Anything archery related that's
I want to do a couple of bows that I did announce that they would have been made in 2025, but I didn't have enough time, and it was the bows of the series that I called. Yeah, now I forgot what I called the series, but I think it was Czech Highlander bows, and it was basically interesting designs from uncommon woods.
okay?
So I want to do that. Uh, I want to also buy a house to finally have my own space to work in and like to produce some content to YouTube and those sites. And so I just make it more public, and
Yeah.
that's one of the things I have on my checklist now. And yeah, that's basically it. It's big goals, basically.
Yeah. Oh, good for you. Where can people find out more about you and see your work?
They can see me on Instagram, and I will be making my website working finally. Also on my website will be like order thing. Yeah, pardon me. So they can order, bows, and also that I will put some of those old tools that I spoke about on the
Nice.
website.
Yeah.
So it will work in both ways for me. So it should be somewhat nicer and more sophisticated.
And are you shipping bows and tools around the world or just in Europe?
I try to do it only in Europe because the shipping and the duties to the US and to Northern America, basically, and like
Yeah.
even into Asia and in Southern America, it just is expensive.
Yeah. It's hard.
I don't know how Simon from Sweden does that, because they have like they have different prices for post delivery to like the US, and it costs like 90% less. So it's
Hmm.
good for him, because I think it's because Switzerland has
Oh,
got
Simon, you said Sweden, Switzerland? Simon Kell?
and Switzerland, yeah.
With Simon Kell of selfbow.ch?
Selfbows that see.
CH, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he has quite a market for his bows. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does that side of it, but
Yeah, I think we have spoken about that, and he told me basically that the shipping basically costs pennies compared to us because like if you were to order a bow from me to the US, it would be like shipping of like $400
Oh,
through UPS and FedEx. So it's crazy. And he just makes it for like 20 dollars or something like that.
really? Huh.
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't know how it will be with the current situation. Maybe it will be even more.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
I shipped 7 bows back from Europe, and they were all fairly expensive. I would say probably between 140 and 200. I don't remember whether that was dollars or euros, but it wasn't cheap.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the bad things about shipping from Europe, and I think it's because of the US and European Union relationships, and also like the things that European Union just does to, I don't know, it just lessens the export for the small business owners.
Yeah, it's more set up for the big corporations than the little artisans. All right. Well, thank you, Zdenek, for taking the time to do this. It's
Yeah,
really
thank
nice
you
to
too.
get to know you, and keep up the good work. Keep posting
Thank
some
you.
beautiful bows on your website and Instagram. And good luck with
Yeah, I
everything.
will. Thank you. It was a
You're
nice time
welcome.
meeting you.
Thanks for listening to Project Quiver on Salish Wolf. Follow our journey on Instagram at Project Quiver as we seek out the world's most extraordinary traditional bowyars, and join our newsletter at projectquiver.com. Our coffee table book, Quiver, The Art of Life Through Bowcraft, arrives in 2026. We are honored to share with you the beauty, history, and magic of traditional archery.